Welcome to Talkin Business. I'm Joe Catrambone, CEO of the Stewart Martin County Chamber of Commerce, and I'm really honored today to have two special guests with me. All my guests are special, but these are really special. Vicki Davis, Supervisor of Elections, Martin County, and Carrie Anderson, who has a new title, and I'm going to let Vicki tell you about that in a moment. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. So, I can't remember. I guess I've known you since
Oh my
'89
goodness. Yeah.
when I moved here. You're one of the first people I met. And were you running for school board then, or when did you run for school board originally?
I ran for school. I had my business in '89. I was in retail. I had kitchen gifts and gadgets in the Martin Square Mall, and I was a member of the chamber.
That's right.
And then I became a school board member in the latter part of the '90s.
Oh, was it? Okay.
And then ran for supervisor and served 8 years, and then ran for supervisor of elections in 2004,
Right.
and was sworn in January the 4th of 2005.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
So we go
Time-
way back.
Time flies, doesn't it?
It does fly. It does.
So one of the things I'd like to start out with, and you've been here before, and I don't have to ask because I know you were born in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't born in Martin County, though.
Right. I was born in Hardee County, but I go back at least 6 generations. A Spaniard coming over, settling in the Tampa area. So it's on my mother's side of the family. And my grandparents, her parents, were born in Polk County, Fort Meade, Frostproof area, but were pioneer settlers of the Kissimmee River in between Okeechobee and the Brighton Indian Reservation.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah.
There's not many
No.
of you around or left even.
That's true. That's true. And people like to hear my old stories, about the family.
Well, that's very interesting, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Carrie, what brought you to Martin County?
Born and raised. My father was born and raised here. My grandfather came from the Bahamas with his grandmother to Martin County, and that's where they settled. And my dad and his 13 siblings were born right here in Martin County. And
Wow.
so
But
this
not
is
many
home.
of you either.
No, not at all. But I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Oh, I'm with you.
Yep.
I don't know what took me so long to get here.
It was that call from the chamber.
Yeah. And I think the Lord had something to do with
I
it, too.
agree. I agree, Joe.
So, we got an election coming up.
We do. We have 3 big elections coming up.
We have a presidential next year, right?
Correct.
20
But we start out December 19th of this year is the deadline for the Division of Elections in Tallahassee to provide all 67 supervisors in the state the certified names of those that are going to be on the March presidential preference primary ballots. So December 19th, we're off and running. We're into this election really already,
So,
preparing.
when is the primary?
The presidential primary is March 19th, and that's for the 2 parties.
That's just right around the corner.
Oh,
really.
it is.
I
That's
mean,
what, yeah. It's for the 2 major parties to determine who will be their presidential nominee on the November general ballot. Yeah, so it's here.
Yeah, it's. I mean, for all intents and purposes, Thanksgiving's gone, Christmas is here.
Christmas, yep.
And then right around the corner, you've got March.
Yep.
It's amazing how quickly time goes. So, one of the things that always impressed me, and I've told you about it before, with all of the, remember the Chads, the
Oh,
hanging
yes.
Chads and all that stuff.
Oh, yes.
You have always been, I can't ever remember a discrepancy or a problem in elections, and I've been here since '89. And even with, I guess, Peggy. it
Right,
was-
Peggy Robbins.
Yeah. I mean, we never had a problem. And then when you looked at Palm Beach County and the mess they went through, but it's all, I think it's all, it balances out. I mean, they have many more voters and many more precincts. and all.
Exactly.
But it shouldn't matter.
True, but it is the larger counties south of us. I mean, Miami-Dade County, they have over 1 million registered voters. Palm Beach County's pushing up close to that million mark, and so is Palm Beach County. We have right now 115,000 registered voters. We fluctuate between 125, 115. It depends on our list maintenance, which we're required to conduct every year now, moving voters from an active status over to inactive because they haven't voted in 2 general elections. So,
I can remember years, I mean, before voting by mail is what it is today.
correct?
I can't tell you the last time. I certainly have never been to a polling place in Martin County, and I got to where in Brevard County, I used to ask for an absentee ballot. So
Yep.
I didn't want to go, I didn't want to go take the time and stand in line. And back then, I had a business, so I was on the road a lot. So I didn't want to miss an election, so I said, I'm going to be out of town, and I got an absentee ballot. And then it became fashionable or legal to vote by mail.
Yep.
Do you think that's good or bad?
Oh, no, I think it's a good thing. In the state of Florida, we have 3 different ways in which a voter can elect to cast their votes. By mail, vote by mail. No excuse. You can just call the office or go online and request vote by mail ballots to be mailed to you. Or voting early in person, which our voters love also. And then election day. And it's interesting to watch through the elections, how voters are electing to cast their vote. For example, in the 2020 general election, the presidential year, we had an 84% turnout in the middle of COVID. And yeah, 84% of our registered voters turned out. And it was, I think 45% voted by mail, 42%
So
voted early.
Almost balanced.
And then like 15% went to the polls on election day.
Only 15%?
Yeah, yeah.
Barb
So
used to love to go to the polls.
oh, but she started coming to vote early.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I used to bring her.
Yeah, you would bring her to the office. That's
Yeah.
right.
But she liked going to the polls. I didn't want to bother with it.
Yeah.
So, but I think, at least what I've read and what I've heard is obviously there's more chance for fraud when there's a vote by mail.
Actually, we have not experienced that in Martin County, fortunately. And I think throughout the state of Florida, our legislature has made it very tight and compressed. It would be really difficult for someone to commit a fraudulent act with vote by mail because we're required to verify every signature on those vote by mail envelopes, that the ballot contains the ballot with what we have in our database. And according to Florida statute, voters can only return so many ballots. And it's immediate family and 2 others. Like if you have an elderly neighbors that can't make it to the polls, want to vote by mail, they can be returned by someone else. But our Florida legislature has gone to great lengths to make sure that voting by mail is
Yeah, well, in the
up to a
last
standard.
presidential election, there was, of course, Trump is still saying it was fraudulent.
right.
But you didn't hear it in Florida.
No.
It was in a lot of the other Midwestern states and other places, or Philadelphia, I think, was a big issue or something. But
No. What you hear now
Yeah.
is Florida's the gold standard.
is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Well, that's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we hear throughout the nation. Kiri and I are both members of the National Election Center. So we go to conferences with election officials from all over the United States, and they even recognize the fact that Florida has really risen to the occasion, and we have set the standard very high.
So when I can't remember why, but maybe in a couple of years ago, I didn't get my
Ballot?
my absentee ballot. So I called your office.
Of course.
And they're always your staff is wonderful, by the way.
Good.
And I said, I didn't get my ballot. Well, I said, you didn't ask for one. I said, well, I've been voting forever. And they said, well, now you have to request. So I called your office yesterday to make sure, because I knew you were coming. But I called your office yesterday. I said, please check to see if I'm going to get a ballot. And anyway, they checked it, and I am. But so what is that? Is it every 2 years you have to
Yes, after every election cycle, you do have to request for the next election
After every cycle?
Yes, your December 31st, 2024, everyone that's requested a ballot for this election cycle, the slate's wiped clean. So we have to start that request
So
process.
if you're going to vote in 2025, you have to register?
26,
Okay, yeah, 26,
Yep.
okay,
yep.
okay.
Unless there's a special election in
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, yeah, so that was a change, and also with vote by mails, there was a change regarding the drop boxes. They're no longer called drop boxes in the state of Florida. They're referred to as secure ballot intake stations, and we're required to have a member of staff, someone that's paid to be there at those boxes at all times to
So it's really
monitor the
secure.
drops. Yes, yes. So, a lot of changes, and yet, one thing I wanted Kiri to talk about just briefly, I don't know how much time we have left.
I was just going to say, Carrie, how about telling us
Yeah.
about your new job and your new position, and is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, or
It's
tell
an
us
ad
of any.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you, Joe, for having me on the show as
Oh,
well.
it's my pleasure.
But my new position is Assistant Chief Deputy. So in addition to doing what I'm currently doing, which is voter education and outreach in our community,
And poll workers.
and poll workers, I'll be assisting with candidates and other duties as assigned by our Supervisor of Elections of whatever is needed of me to help us so that we can complete our job in serving you, the voters of Martin County.
But, Kiri's done a really great job in the community, and she had this idea for a student art contest to design our I Voted stickers. And we started that in, Kiri, 2022.
2022.
So this is our second cycle.
See, I don't get them.
Well, what we have for you, and
Special.
this is the design for this
2024.
for 2024,
Okay.
and one of our 10th grade students
From Southport High School designed that.
Yeah,
Really?
designed it.
That's great.
But what Kiri brought for you is a pin that she gives to her poll workers that reflects that
Well, thank
I
you.
voted sticker.
Yes.
So
Thank you, that's great.
you have a
Barb-
permanent one.
Yeah, and Barb used to get several from you, because she
Yes.
wore them all the time. It wasn't even that she just voted that day, she wore it till election day. So,
Oh,
well,
I know.
thank you, I
Yes.
will wear that proudly.
That's exactly
That's
the word.
what I said.
Yep. On the way here, Kiri said, "Joe will wear that pin proudly."
I will, I absolutely will, I love it, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, but I can't do it till after the polls.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Well, actually, you could start wearing it when you receive your vote by
Ballot?
mail ballot.
Okay.
Yes.
oh, okay, I'm good, all
Yeah.
right.
And those are mailed 40 days before Election Day. So you've got a whole month you can be, or over a month you can
that's-
be wearing that pin.
That's great.
The
so-
other sticker that she had a contest for, and Kiri, I'll let you
Sure.
share.
So our voters really loved when we did our first I Voted sticker for our voters. And so we came up with the idea of a future voter sticker. As you know, many parents bring their kids to
Oh,
the polls,
yeah.
or kids come with their grandparents. And if we get them coming to the polls and excited about the process, we're hoping that when they're 18, they'll actually be active participants. So now when they come with their mom and dad or grandparents, they'll have their own special
Oh, they'll be
sticker.
looking forward to the sticker.
Yes, and it was designed by a 5th grader at Felix Elementary School. So it's
Really?
a very,
Yeah,
yes.
Felix
fifth
Williams.
grader?
A 5th grader. We had the contest. It was open. We have a great partnership with the school district, as you know, Joe. And it was open to all elementary schools. And
that is great.
our
Can I have that?
Yes, definitely.
You can
So
have
that's
those.
Thank you.
the winner, the future voter sticker contest.
What percentage, we have how many registered voters in Martin County?
Right now, we're down to about 115 because we did move those inactive voters over from active to inactive status.
It is always been mind-boggling to me why people don't vote.
Me too.
I just don't understand it. And I forget who it was, but this is, I can't even remember how long ago it was. You know, my uncle was the mayor of our hometown,
Okay.
and he was, in fact, on 60 Minutes as the longest standing mayor
Oh,
in the country back in the, whenever it was.
That's
He was
awesome.
50-some years he was in office. So I can remember going with brochures and putting them, 9 years old, I was putting these brochures in people's screen doors, you know,
Yep.
or wherever, if they didn't answer the phone, the
The
door.
door.
So it just is mind-boggling to me, but someone said to me, when it may have, and my father also was elected, he was on the school board, he was on the school board for 25 years. So I was, you know, politics was, I grew up with.
Yep.
I couldn't wait to vote. I just couldn't wait to vote. So someone said to me, if someone came to their office and complained, or they called and complained about something, and the first question they asked them, did you vote? And if they didn't vote,
Yep.
so they can't help you,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's your way of expressing your opinion and your voice and your preference.
That's right.
And people, as you know, I'm preaching to the choir, people died for the right to vote.
That's exactly right.
So I just don't understand it.
I know.
And I've had friends who admitted they don't vote. I said, it doesn't make a difference. I said, whether it makes a difference or not, it's a privilege. I don't consider it a privilege. I consider it a duty. I've never missed an election in my life. I don't know what would cause me to.
Right.
And there's no reason for it now with absentee and mail, and
Right.
there's absolutely no excuse to even our servicemen. They get ballots sent overseas, right?
Absolutely. 45 days before Election Day,
Yeah.
we're mailing ballots to our overseas and military voters. Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There is no excuse
No,
for
that's a disgrace.
Yeah.
I can't imagine someone even admitting that they didn't vote. To me, that would be like, they shouldn't even be alive.
Well, we really work hard at and Kiri especially is out in the community. She and I both are out in the community, trying to get the word out to educate our voters regarding not only the importance
I
of
know
voting.
you do, and I know Carrie. I see Carrie everywhere. So, so I think we have a pretty good percentage of registered voters compared to population, right?
Oh, yeah, we do. We do. It's a high percentage in Martin County, and also our turnout is one of the higher turnouts in the state.
Do you ever wonder, or do you ask or ever wonder why a person didn't vote or doesn't vote?
We don't go there.
You-
Yeah, we're there to conduct the election, remain nonpartisan, of course. It's up to each individual to make that decision.
I
and
know, I know
yeah.
it.
And it's like our theme for this year, Kiri, is,
It's your choice. Exercise your right to vote.
yep, that's our theme.
Yeah. And it's a privilege and an honor.
It
And
is.
I don't
It
get
is.
it.
It
why-
is.
Why people don't.
And our legislature has even gone to the extent that 16 and 17-year-olds can pre-register to vote, so that when they're 18, that voter information card comes in the mail, and they're, ready to go and cast a vote. They don't need that when they go and vote in person. What you need, of course, is signed photo identification, such as a driver's license, when they go vote. But, yep, it's all in place. It makes it easy and simple to be able to cast a vote.
Do you find a great interest? I know you go to schools. And
Yes.
Are the kids interested?
They are. You would be surprised how excited the students are to participate in the process. The YMCA has a group called Youth in Government, and those are kids who have that civics interest. And those students are just so engaged in the process, and they want to help volunteer or serve however they can. And a lot of them will work the polls on election day because they're pre-registered to vote. Even though they're not eligible to cast a vote yet, they can work the polls on election day by being pre-registered to vote, and they receive an excused absence from school. They're actively participating in the process, and our voters always comment how they love seeing our younger as well as our seasoned election workers at our polling precincts.
Do you, there's some of them are seasoned.
They are.
Are you easily able to get volunteers now, or is it a problem?
Oh no, we have a lot of interest of individuals wanting to work the polls. More and more, we're seeing that they really want to participate, and especially our younger people, Indian River State College as well as our high schools. We have a great partnership with one of the professors where any of his students who work the polls on election day, they receive extra credit, but they have to write a paper about their experience.
Oh,
And it's
nice.
actually great to read those papers and just see what they thought, because their view before coming into working the polls changes from when they actually work and participate in the process and assist voters, and they really enjoy doing that.
Well, that's really, I'm enthused.
Yes.
That's really great. But I know it's education. They need to be,
Yeah.
and I don't, God, it's been a long time since I've been out of school, but are they, are the civics,
Yeah.
are they really
I was-
pushing that?
I was just going to say, civics is mandated for our 8th grade students. Our oldest grandson, Cash, who you remember when he was born, he's in the 8th grade at Hidden Oaks Middle School, and he is loving his civics class. And he'll tell me, I've got all the hundreds on my tests in civics, and so we talk about
He
it.
better.
Yeah, and so I've taken him to the next step, and actually am working with Representative Snyder's office to get him up to Tallahassee during legislative session as a page for a week this next legislative session.
Oh,
and
that's
he's-
great. Boy,
he's
hell,
all
that would-
excited.
Oh, that's super.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It's
we-
important to get the kids
We've
involved
got a
at a
great
young age.
legislative delegation. I love them. I
Yes.
think they're great. This may be, I know it's going to be controversial, and I'm not asking you for your opinion, but
Mm-hmm.
I just read something or saw something, there's a move on to make county commission terms,
Limited.
was it 2 terms?
There, in the last legislative session, there was a move, a bill was introduced to limit Board of County Commission members to, I believe it was, 2 terms, 8 years. It failed, but I'm sure it will be brought back again
Oh,
in
so
this
it was-
legislative cycle.
So that will be on, it'll be on the ballot for people to vote on? Or how, or
No,
will it
that
just be
was,
done?
that was a proposal for the legislature to make the decision.
got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
not an amendment.
So if that were to be adopted,
Mm-hmm.
would that affect people like Doug, who's been, what, 5 or 6 terms? Would they
Mm-hmm.
have to, would they just have to not run again? Or Sarah is another one, I think she's in her 5th term.
Right.
Would they just not, they just couldn't run again? They couldn't be asked to resign?
Right. It depends on how the bill is written. They could be grandfathered in because they did pass a bill that affected school board members, dropping it down to an 8-year term. But it begins, it wouldn't affect like Marcia Powers, who's been in there a number of years. The clock would start ticking when they ran again. If they elected to run again, then they would have 8 years.
Okay, so
So-
they, yeah, I
Yeah.
guess, so but their term would just be extended?
Exactly, exactly. So it really depends on how that bill is structured.
Okay. Anything weird did you hear of that we're gonna be asked to vote on?
No, it's, typical amendments that are, we're receiving in the office initiative petitions to put 2 different items on the ballot for November. One is the abortion issue, and the other one is legalizing recreational marijuana. It was interesting because we watched oral arguments before the Florida Supreme Court a couple of weeks ago regarding the marijuana, the language. So the Attorney General is questioning the language for both of those amendments. They can't be misleading to the voters. So it's going to be interesting. Keep your ears open for how the Florida Supreme Court is going to rule, whether they actually will make it to the November ballot.
I heard one, it's a local, that there's a move to put on the ballot to buy preserved land, sensitive lands. Have you heard about that?
I have not heard of that at this point.
There's 4 parcels. One is Palmar, and they're also environmentally sensitive pieces. And we had a presentation at our local government committee. Stacy Ranieri was, and I can't remember who else made the presentation, but it's to buy for, oh, I know, it's not. It's to put a half-cent sales tax.
Okay. To purchase those
To purchase
properties?
that land. Is that going to happen, or we don't know yet?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
The commission would have to vote on that, and they haven't taken formal
Okay.
action.
Yeah, it's
at
a
this
it's a
point.
half-a-cent sales tax to raise money to buy sensitive lands. So
Yeah.
I think it would pass if it got on the ballot. But a lot of people, I have people say, I don't want any new taxes. So that could be the issue. But we're as passionate in Martin County about preserving our sensitive lands.
Yes.
So I think that would override the half-a-cent.
And
that
you're
feeling.
probably right. You know, it's hard to say how the voters might. Depends on the wording
Always.
of the wording, and it's limited to 75 words for, you know, the ballot language at the local level, and a 15-word title. It's a limitation. So it's how it's worded, plus the educational component, getting the message out to the public, what this is really going to do and how it's going to help. And I don't know, there's a lot of development going on right now within the county, and we keep hearing as we're out and about in the community discussion about the development. So, you know, you might be right. They may want to step forward and conserve properties, so it can't be built on.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. I know. I laugh all the time about this unbridled growth that we're experiencing. You know, and I just it's the appearance. I mean, everywhere
Right.
you look. Have you been down?
US 1?
Not only US 1. Is it corporate? that
Oh,
run-
yes.
Those-
Corporate
they-
Parkway.
Those
or what?
things went up.
I know.
Couldn't believe it.
I
So-
know.
So the appearances, and so much, and I know the county commissioners take a lot of blame for it, but so much of it's in the city of Stewart.
Yes, I was going to say the same thing. It's
Yeah.
not the county.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the
Yeah.
city commission approvals, but, you know, it's my understanding if a development comes before them, meets the comp plan and all of the criteria, it's very difficult for them to.
You know, the people have,
refuse it.
there's property rights,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so, but whether it be the city or the county, I think our officials hold people to the fire, and a lot of times, very rarely, give them the number of units that by law are allowed, and they end up negotiating it to sometimes half the units.
Right,
So,
density issues.
The density, yeah.
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 Yeah, but, yep, we've got a big year coming up. For those that are listening, we do have the March 19th presidential preference primary election. And one thing too, Joe, that's really important for our voters to know is Florida's a closed primary state. So you have to have your party affiliation in place 29 days before each election. So that really affects us with our primary elections. Doesn't matter for the general election ballot, but it does for our
I
primaries.
know, so many people don't get that. You know, they
Yeah.
just don't get it.
I know. I know, we know.
Yeah,
Believe me,
yeah, like I
we
said,
hear it in
I'm
the
preaching to
office.
the choir, yeah, I know. So, okay, we're winding down. Did we miss anything? Carrie, anything you might want to talk
No,
about?
just we want to just remind voters in this upcoming year, check your status. Has your name changed?
Yes, it's
Has
very
your
important.
address changed? Would you like to change your party? And also your signature, because
Yeah.
if you're voting by mail, that's how they're going to verify who you are when that ballot comes back. So please take a moment and check your voter status before the 2024
And that's,
elections.
like I just said, if people take for granted, oh, I've always voted by mail, it's not a problem, but it is a problem. You need
Yep.
to, we went over that earlier, so, but be sure to call the supervisor's office to be sure that you're going to get a ballot, or else you're not gonna be able to vote,
Like you did.
like I did, right? I want to make sure I get my privilege
That's
to
right,
vote.
that's right.
Vicki, how about you? Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity
No, I
to
love it.
again be here with you.
Thank you.
And to provide that information to our voters.
Yeah,
You're
thank you.
always so wonderful to
Well,
include us.
And I will always give, I think yours is the most important job, constitutional officer's job, is to make sure people are getting the opportunity and given the opportunity to get out and vote and voice their opinion. So,
Absolutely.
thank you guys. Good luck.
Thank you.